Bonjour, my name is Maya and today I'm going to be taking you through 3 of the most commonly used verbs in French, specifically GCSE French. So for those of you who are travelling through GCSE French, this video is for you. So today we're going to be starting off with learning 3 verbs, être, avoir et aller. These verbs are all irregular. So what does that mean? What does irregular mean? So irregular means that these 3 verbs have different endings to other verbs. So you'll notice être ends in ai, avoir ends in ir, and aller ends in er. However, these verbs do not have the same verb endings as other re, ir, or er verbs. So unfortunately, you will have to memorize them. Let's start. Or c'est parti, as the French say. C'est parti, that's a phrase you might want to use. Don't worry, I'll move my icon out of the way in a second. So, c'est parti, that just means that let's get started or let's get into it. So, here we have to be, être. So, these pronouns along the side here are pronouns that we use every day in English, you know, I, you, he, she, we. And in French, I've got them on the side here, je, tu, il, elle, on, and so on. So, we're going to be conjugating être, to be. So, how do we say I am? Well, that's easy. It's just je suis. Je suis. It's pronounced suis. I'll put the pronunciation at the side here. Next, we've got tu. Now, tu means you in French, but it is the informal version of you. So you say it if you're speaking to your friends, your familiars, your family, people who you know. And the ending is e. Just pronounced e. Tu es. Next, we've got il, elle, on, which is he, she, we. But again, on is the informal, informal version of we. So say it to people you are familiar with. So, il, elle, on, est. Again, this is just pronounced E-H. Tu es, on est. Very similar. Next up, we have the formal version of we, which is nous. And that's going to be nous sommes. Nous sommes. Don't pronounce the ES, it's silent. So nous sommes. Nous sommes. Next up, we have the formal and plural version of you. So vous is when you're speaking to multiple people. So vous, you people. Or it's very formal at the same time. So we have vous êtes. This is êtes with a little hat on the E. You pronounce it êtes. However, here, because vous ends in a consonant and it begins with a vowel, what we do, we link the sounds of these with a Z sound. So we'd say vous êtes, you are, vous êtes, okay? Finally, we have they are, so il, elle. Now, why is that il, elle? Well, if you're speaking to a group of mostly male people, you'd use il. If you're speaking to a group of mostly female people, you'd use elle. So, il, elle, sont. That's just sont. Sort of a nasally sound on the end there. Let me just move myself out of the way. There we are. Sont. Okay, so that's the conjugation of être. So the different verbal endings for the pronouns. So let's go through a couple examples of this. So number 1, we've got je suis heureuse. Heureuse just means happy. It's the feminine form of happy. So because I'm a woman, I'd say heureuse. But if you're a man, you'd say je suis heureux. Je suis heureux. So number 2, il est méchant. Méchant just means naughty or wicked. So here again we've got the il est. That's the important part here, is the est, because that's the verb we've just conjugated, être. So I'll just put here, so méchant is naughty, just so you know. It's just a little bit of vocabulary for you to pick up. So number 3, so what would this be? So we've just been through this. This is the one with the z sound. So say you are, vous êtes. Vous êtes triste. And triste just means sad. These just adjectives I've just picked up here. Finally, we've got nous, something, grand. Grand is tall, by the way. It's not big, as many people think. Grand is tall in this context. So it would be nous sommes, because that's we are. Okay? So vous êtes, nous sommes. So that's être. Let's move on now to avoir. Again, a very commonly used verb. So Here we've got the pronouns on the side again, just to remind us, and then we've got them in French over here. So, let's have a look. Let's move myself out the way a little bit. So, I have. How do we say I have? Well, I have. We'd cross out the E in je, and we replace it with apostrophe A-I. So, j'ai. So, from je to j'ai. So, I put it here, j'ai. Like that. Next, we've got tu as, A-S, tu as. So these are very short endings that you can see. It's just pronounced ah, that's all, ah. And then we've got il, elle, on, he, she, we, informal we, the familiar we, ah. That's what we've got, so ah. So ah and ah, they're pronounced the same, but they're spelled slightly differently, so don't forget that in an exam. Next, we've got nous avons. Again, we've got a consonant at the end of nous, a vowel at the beginning of avant, so we connect them with a Z sound. Nous avons. Nous avons. We have. And obviously that's the formal we. So, speaking to someone we don't really know, saying we, nous, nous avons. We have. So just avons. Next, we've got vous, and it'd be vous avez, but because we've got consonant and vowel, we connect them with a Z. Vous avez. Vous avez une voiture. You have a car. Vous avez. Finally, we've got they. So, ils or elles ont. Ils, elles ont. Just put pronunciation here. Avez and ont. Now, you'll notice this ending is very similar to être, where we've got sont and we've got ont. But don't get these confused. So you should be at a point where you should memorize these verb endings and you should be able to run through them. So j'ai, tu as, on a, nous avons, vous avez, ils ont. That's what you should be able to do. You should be able to run through, almost like a song, almost like a chant to help you remember. So that's avoir, and we've got some examples next. So okay, so here we've got j'ai, so we've got no E, we've got apostrophe AI. J'ai beaucoup de livres. So beaucoup de just means a lot of. Beaucoup de. Lots of. So, j'ai beaucoup de livres. Livre is books. J'ai beaucoup de livres. I have a lot of books. Or here, on a un problème. We have a problem. Problème. Ils what? Une nouvelle voiture. So, ils ont. So they have a new car. Une nouvelle voiture is car. I'm going to move myself out of the way for a second. Beaucoup de and voiture. And then finally we have tu as. A-S. Tu as, you have, and it's the informal tu, so the familiar tu, used with your friends and family. So, let's move on. So we've got aller. So, aller is to go, and this is used a lot. This is a very common verb. We need this verb. So, move myself out of the way. Here we go. So, we've got je vais. Je vais. Next up, we've got tu, the informal familiar to remember. So we've got tu vas, V-A-S. You don't pronounce the S. Do not pronounce the S. Just va. That's all. Va. Tu vas. Il, elle, on, va. Again, but there's no S. So it's pronounced the same, but no S. I know it's a bit confusing. You just have to remember these. So next we've got nous. So nous allons. So I'm sorry, again, we've got a consonant and a vowel, so we link them with, you guessed it, the Z sound. Nous allons. So, allons. Nous allons. So, we go. Nous allons. Nous allons au cinéma. We go to the cinema. And we've got vous allez. Again, we connect them with that Z sound. Vous allez. That's my favourite one, that is allez. Vous allez. Allez, allez. Anyway, next we've got il, elle. Ils, elles vont. Okay? Ils, elles vont. Vont. So those are the aller conjugations, and these are super important. We use these a lot, especially je vais. Je vais à la piscine. I go to the swimming pool. Je vais au cinéma. I go to the cinema. It's a very commonly used verb. avec some examples. So here, je vais à la maison. À la maison just means I go home. So that just means home, or to my house, or to home. I go home. We got nous allons. Remember, we got the z sound. Nous allons à l'école. That's just a word for school. That's what that means. So, à l'école. And finally, we've got missing one here. Vous something, au supermarché just means to the supermarket. So this would be vous allez. Vous allez, with a little Z sound again. Yeah. Right. Oh, move me out of the way. There we go. Right, so now, aller is very important because it's used in the near future tense. So this is a way of talking about the future. So in English, we'd say, I'm going to go. We're going to go. We're going to eat. We're going to drive. We're going to get up. It's all in the future. We're going to do something. So how do you form the near future tense? Well, it's all about aller, as you can see here. So you use a pronoun, so je, tu, il, elle. You add the aller form, so vais, va, allez, allons, vont. And then you add an infinitive verb. So what's an infinitive, you're going to be asking? An infinitive is just the full form of the verb. So it's manger, partir, prendre, as we've got here. So it's the full verb, unmodified, we've done nothing to it. Full verb on its own. So, some examples here. So we've got the pronoun, je, the form of aller, so je vais. Then we've got a verb, a full form of the verb, manger. So this just means I'm going to eat. So it's in the future. And then next we've got on va partir. Partir is to leave. But we are going to leave. On va partir. In the future. And finally we've got another one. We've got vous allez prendre. Vous allez prendre. That just means you are going to take. So those are 3 examples of the near future. I'll do a separate video of the near future soon enough. So here we go. Now, a little bit of test. If you pause this video here and complete these questions, translate them into French, and there's answers on the next slide that I'm going to show you in just a second. If you don't know the nouns, if you don't know what maybe tired means or tall or car means, that's fine. We're more interested in the verbs, so getting, I am, être, avoir, and elle, right? And on this side, 7 to 10, these are questions for the near future, and number 10 is a bit tricky, it's a bit confusing. So if you can get that, that would be perfect. Right, so here are the answers, or les solutions, as the French would say. So if you pause this video, go through them, check that you've got your answers right. If not, why, and correct them. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope you found this video useful. I'm going to create another video next week on ER verbs if you're interested. I'm going to drop my email in the description below. So if you'd like to email me asking for the PowerPoint, I'm very happy to link that as well. If you've got any further questions on these verbs or on the near future, please do email me. I'll be very happy to drop you a message, drop you a call, and just go through it with you. Thank you very much, and like and subscribe.